The case of insecurity has surged in the past few weeks in Nigeria, with kidnapping on the rise in the nation's capital. To this effect, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, WIKE, summoned an emergency meeting over the worsening state of insecurity in Nigeria. In attendance were heads of security agencies, top officials of the Federal Capital Territory Administration, Area Council, chairman, and traditional rulers. WIKE assured residents of improved security, maintaining that there is a need for re-strategizing of the security architecture. Also reacting to the security situation in the country, the Minister of Defense, Mohammed Badru, urged Nigerians to stop the payment of ransom to kidnappers and bandits. At a briefing after the Federal Executive Council meeting on Wednesday in Abuja, Mr. Badru said the payment will only embolden the culprits to make them demand more, thereby jeopardizing the public safety. Also, due to the rise in kidnapping activities in the FCT and the nation at large, the Inspector General of Police, IGP has launched a special intervention squad, SIS, to tackle the issue. The SIS is for special operations deployed to all area councils in the FCT and simultaneously launched in some states across the country. Joining us now on the morning show to discuss the rising trend of kidnapping in the nation's capital and the launch of Special Intervention Squad SIS by the police is Lawrence Alobi, former Commissioner of Police. Welcome to the show, sir. Great to have you. What will this SIS change? A lot of people have argued that pretty much reminds me of your Operation Sweep back in the days. They launch this scheme. Before you know it, they disband them. Maybe when they become very overzealous, just like they did with SARS. SARS was a silver bullet to all the crime and criminality at some point. And this will just live for a while. And the problem is not solved, which has to be an institutional, sustainable, holistic solution, which we've not done since the police force was created many years ago. What do you say to this, sir?
Yeah, thank you very much. In the first place, I'm not a former commissioner of police. I'm a retired commissioner of police. Once a commissioner, always a commissioner till dead.
Retired commissioner. Okay. So
then, on your question, you see, it's unfortunate that the security situation in the country is becoming very disturbing, particularly Abuja, which is the head of the seat of government. The way in recent times to be very scary. And I think what the IG has done is just is responding to situations. You know, the police have various strategies on how to control crime, prevent crime, and respond to crisis situation. And this is what he has just done. That is problem-solving approach to issues. Though it is reactive, not proactive, but it's a very good strategy. So you address things based on the reality on ground. But again, you see, in security operations, I always believe in being creative, thinking ahead and planning ahead and working ahead. Proactiveness is always the best way. You have to think up ahead of the criminals. In security architecture of operations, you must anticipate crisis to manage crisis. Don't allow it to happen when you have warning signals, like it's happening all over the state. These are warning signals that will give every security agency that time to begin to plan, to begin to think, what do we do in the event it's occurring? So we have to creative thinking and to be proactive. We take actions. So when it occurs, you nip in the bud, you prevent. That proactiveness is the best style of policing, not reactive. But it is a very good thing. Because when it occurs, you need to respond to it. So what the IG has done is very timely, it's very apt, and I think it's the right thing to do. Because when situation comes, we need to fold our hands and begin to lament. How do we solve the problem? And that's what he has done. And this is what I think. The point thing, like we just said, sustainability, not just a few days, few months, few weeks. How do we sustain this to make sure that the place is secure and safe throughout the period, and make sure the criminals have either been flushed out or decimated, and the place is safe and secure for all citizens. And I think again we should know that Section 14B becomes provide that security is the primary purpose of government. And then Section 24E also says that it's the constitutional duty to every Nigerian citizen to assist security agencies in maintaining of law and order. If you juxtapose these two sections together, you have what the security, it is what I call security governance, where all stakeholders should come together and see that the country is safe and secure for all of us. And that is why, but in this country, the government has not actually been able to provide enough for the security, like the police, for example, which I know too well. The police have been starved of funds. They are grossly inadequate in terms of manpower. The welfare is of nothing to write home about. The police is one of the poorest paid police in the world, and that is not good. It does not motivate. and it doesn't motivate, how can the person now put in his best? People are prepared to do their best when they are being encouraged and being motivated and being cared for.
All right, Mr. Alobi.
Welfare is key and central for all. Yes, please.
You talk about the challenges faced by members of the police force in Nigeria. You highlighted welfare and a few other things which we've talked about a number of times on the show. But I want to ask you a question. So the IG of police, in launching the SIS, had said they would deploy about 1,000 officers to each of the states in Nigeria. Well, these officers, even though they've been said to be specially trained elite force, are still members of this police force that you say is plagued with these challenges, and the challenges haven't been looked into. Is it not just recycling the same officers, even though specially trained, but still having the same challenges? Are they going to be able to deliver?
Yeah, I think they will deliver because they are going on a specific instruction on some rules of engagement and code of conduct. And I'm sure the IG will also proactively address the issue of welfare. Like before, when I was in service, when I was in the mobile as a junior officer, before we were deployed, they were giving our ration, we were giving dry ration, our lunches are being paid, and these are things that motivate, because when you know that your welfare is being taken care of, you can perform optimally. But unfortunately, over the years, the police leadership has not addressed the issue of welfare as it ought to do. And I think that this is something that is a serious concern. But the government and the leadership of the force have not given welfare of their men a very important issue. Go to our police barracks, go to police stations, go to police stations don't have vehicles for patrol. They don't have vehicles, their quarters are very dilapidated. Go to police colleges and so forth. Go to see their policemen in their uniforms. Some of them are dressed in Tata uniforms, some of them wear slippers. The welfare is not there. And this is contravening Section 14B of the Constitution, which says the prime purpose of government at all levels, at the institutional level, at the government level, they must see about security. Welfare is key and central. This is what will motivate the people, and that should be the prime purpose of any leadership. Leadership is not about who controls. That's who imparts and add value, who can make things better. So I think the IG will address that, and I'm sure some of them are watching this program, and they will also, as the President IG is a man with a listening ear, I'm sure he will also do the needful. But again, generally, not just for this intervention force, but let it be a sustainable system in the service where the welfare of the men is addressed. The government should, you see, let me tell you, when they say police, we're complaining about policemen, life is based on the principle of reciprocity. Let me give a simple analogy. If you have a dog in the house, you don't feed your dog, you don't care for your dog, you say you will not bother the dog becomes, when it sees you, see the dog will be aggressive. You say, Ugh. But when you take care of your dog, when it sees you, it wags its tail, it welcomes you. So the police are now, because they are frustrated, out of frustration. So I think the government, the leadership of the force should think about how to address the issue of welfare and equip the police in terms of training capacity building, in terms of equipment, in terms of also the image of the force. The police should reinvent itself, because this trade deficit in the country, which has historical base, of course, from colonial to the military and to the democratic dispensation. We should try to see how to win the heart of the citizens and their mind. To make the citizens to appreciate that the police is there for them, and they should make themselves worthy of the trust of the citizens.
That's
so
right.
They can cooperate with the citizens, willing to give them information.
Now, in the spirit of
so the issue of training, issue of
in the spirit of winning the hearts of the citizens, earlier this week, the issue of illegal mining, of course, came to the front of the conversation. Now, when we look at this issue, I like to recall a statement made by the Minister of Solid Minerals late last year, when he was saying that illegal mining activities are actually financing and supporting a good percentage of the banditry, the kidnapping, the criminal activity that we're seeing. Earlier in this conversation, you spoke about being proactive, about the police force being proactive. How is this a special intervention squad going to be proactive in policing the issues of mining? Does another squad need to be created in order to effectively police the activities of illegal mining that are now filtering towards funding these criminals who are now, of course, perpetuating crimes of kidnapping and banditry?
You see, the intelligence section of the country should also step up their actions, because if this revelation has come, like the minister has said, the intelligence department should know this. They should know who is financing them, and how are they being financed, what are the channels of the flow of financing, and so forth. And this is how, from that intelligence, they will now know how to take action to nip in the bud. So the security, not just the police per se. No institution, the police cannot do it alone. Also, the military, security, the intelligence agencies, you should all work together. That team spirit. This is what it should be combined effort of all security agencies, because they are all established for the security and law and order of this country. Like Section 14 being provided. So I think it is actually the police can also, when situation arises, like I said, they create units that will address that challenge. So when now that this has become a problem, the police force and other security agencies will know what to do and how to address the situation. I think they are all based on the reality on ground, they respond and create units that will address that issue. Like that, the IGP has just responded based on the reality on ground in FCT and across the country. This is what you ought to do. A leader must be prepared to listen and to act promptly and take actions as the need arises. So I think the force and other security agencies can sit down together, come up with a strategy on how to address the issue of mining, funding of mining industry in the country that becomes also a threat to our security.
How do we check the case of, one, the possibility of having overzealous officers, just like we have with NSAS, with this new, created, this new SIS created? How do we check overzealous officers? Two, how do we check complicity? Because those that perpetrate this crime.
Yeah, it is.
No, I've not finished, sir. We've had issues of complicity with the security forces. That's why these crimes are not solved. I was hearing somebody say the other day that.
Yeah, you see.
I'm still speaking, sir. Please, sir. I was hearing somebody say the other day that somebody was calling somebody that kidnapped somebody many years ago, and everything they were telling the police, the criminals that kidnapped the person was telling them back that you are speaking to the police. This is what you said. So how do we solve that internal case of complicity? That's another angle we need to look at. Thirdly,
yes,
if all of this we set up has no intelligence, how do we solve the problem of police intelligence? It's not just by buying gadgets, but real intelligence that people can trust.
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, you don't get into, they get it from what the police and other they do that. They get information, analyze it, and evaluate it, and it becomes actionable intelligence. And the issue of it, the point you've raised is that training and capacity professionalism is gotten through training and mentorship. And because the services don't have the adequate funding, they cannot train. Training is capital intensive. And when you train, both training at the various institution and also training on the job, that training builds capacity. And then mentorship is also very, very important. Today, mentorship is no longer emphasized. And humility is the quality of learning. Today, officers are only concerned how to make money. They're not concerned about service. And that is not good enough for the force. Life is all about service. When they give that orientation of service, attitude is everything. Attitude of granting service. You see, what I always admire, what President Kennedy of America told the Americans, that all Americans should not think what American would do to them. Every American should think of what he or she can do to make America a great nation. That inculcated that spirit of patriotism in them. So that is what we should all do. Security conscience amongst Nigerians. Then the security agency should know that they are accountable to the citizens and that their actions can make or mar the image of their institution. So, and that their own personality, the image too is important. Their integrity as individuals. Because one day they will leave the force. The society they are policing, they become part of that society. So they should know that life, whatever position you occupy is transient. Whether you are IG, you are general, you are whatever, you are president, it's transient. Power is transient. So they know that they will come out to society with a brutal. When I was CPFCT, my mantra to this officer is that as you want your mother and father and brother to be police in your village, that's how you police FCT Abuja. We don't want your brother and sister to be extorted or to be brutalized. You don't be in the FCT where I'm the CP. And that's what I stand this in the minds of every officer in my command. So this also should be what they should all emphasize. Character, professionalism, training, worthy character, that everybody should be given those attitude, those rules of engagement. In fact, I introduced rules of engagement in police force orders after attending a course in Sweden in the year 1900. Formerly, there was nothing like rules of engagement in police force orders. I introduced it. Because remember Abuja panel, when the student arrived in Kaduna, so far back when New Ali was the CP of the CP, they found that there were no rules of engagement. So when I became CP FCT, that CP Federal Operation, I introduced rules of engagement. The students are the people that have rules of engagement. When you're on any operation, you need to be rules of engagement and code of conduct. You should be sung into their ears in all lectures, in all programs. If this is done, and then again, the country again should, like I said earlier, security governance. It involves all stakeholders. The citizens themselves should know they have a responsibility. The citizens are the prime beneficiary of a safe and secure environment. Citizens should participate in assisting the police and other security agencies in terms of logistics, in terms of encouragement, in terms of support, in terms of information. And when they do this, the police will be more effective, because the more effective the police are, the better for the citizens. And when the police are not effective, the citizens suffer. So, and life is based on principle of reciprocity. When the citizens support the police will do better. And when the police do better, the citizens will be happy. So it is symbiotic relationship between the police and the citizens. And again, I want to make some certain recommendations. One, town hall consultative meetings. When I was in FCT, I was having the town hall meetings with in fact, I even used to go to Central Mosque in Abuja to give lectures on peace and security. The imam will cooperate with me. When you build confidence, the people will cooperate with you. They will listen to you. And that is what I tell within the hearts and minds of the people, through your conduct and behavior. You build confidence, you build trust. So the police will reinvent itself, not particularly because the police lead agency. And everybody wants to the police. The police should really reinvent itself in terms of character, in terms of training, in terms of welfare. And the government should also know that the government has failed in running the police. The government, a country will have the police it requires. In Yoruba, it says, you cannot give a policeman, a person who is being starved of equipment, of training, everything, want to perform. How can he perform? So the government should do everything to ensure the police is equipped. The present government have made a mistake. We should never make a mistake. The government should have that courage and willpower to say we must change our police force and make it a better police for this country.
All right, Mr. Alobi, we are running out of time, so I'd like you, if you could respond to this question very succinctly, very briefly. So, following the kidnappings in Abuja, there was a crowdfunding held, and a former minister had mentioned that despite the fact that there was a linking of NIN to SIM cards in order to prevent incidents like this, or to get some form of intelligence, the security agencies failed to use the data collected. So it seems as if there's some sort of disconnect or lack of synergy between agencies. I'd like you to share with us, is this the case? And if this is the case, how can the police leverage information or activities like what NIMC did in order to stem the tide of insecurity in Nigeria? Very briefly, please.
Yeah, you see, I cannot come. Yeah, go on.
No, go ahead.
Can I respond?
Yes, you can respond briefly, please.
Issue of intelligence, synergy between the security agencies, the competition and the rivalry among security agencies is a threat to security of this country. The security agencies should work like fingers of one hand. Common vision, team spirit, and effective collaboration and cooperation, not competition, not rivalry. Because the various agencies should work together in synergy and know that when each one supports each other. The fingers are not of equal size, but they work together. And when they want to carry a new object, no finger will say, I will not participate in carrying this object. That unity of spirit and cooperation. So the rivalry among security agencies or various stakeholders is a threat to security itself. They should work together. And Mr. President Tinubu has already emphasized that in an orchestra, the various instruments cannot be working against each other. They must blend together, give them just music.
Blend together. So on that profound point, Lawrence Alobi, retired Commissioner of Police, we thank you so much for your contribution to this program.